Here we are at the final question of Prep Test 157, second section over at lawhub.lsac.org, the first logical reasoning section. And we should have a highlight tool selected. If you haven't already, you'd want to select it. But we're going to read the question stem first. The reasoning in the columnist argument is most vulnerable to criticism. So we know that whenever we see that phrase vulnerable to criticism, that means we're going to have to identify a flaw and hopefully have a broad prediction of what that flaw might be before even going to the answer choices. And so is vulnerable to criticism on the grounds that the argument does something. Now, we're going to read the columnist statements. We're going to think about them, identify the conclusion, highlight that conclusion, and try to predict mentally if there is a flaw that kind of comes to mind rather readily. So the columnist states, consent forms filled out by subjects prior to their participation in tests of experimental medicines designed to treat the diseases from which they are suffering show that almost all subjects accept the risk of receiving ineffective substances. This casts doubt on the claim made by some medical ethicists that many test subjects resent being given placebos, as happens to roughly half of all test subjects, or resent being given medicines that turn out to be ineffective, as also often occurs. So, this casts doubt. Sometimes we want to highlight our full referent, but everything else is the referent, and we don't want to highlight the whole paragraph. So we just know that the evidence from the consent forms where the subjects who are participating in experimental medical tests, they say that the subjects accept the risk of receiving ineffective substances, but then we got this transition to they resent being given placebos. So why would we resent being given placebos? So placebos and ineffective medicines, they aren't necessarily like risky. It's just that they didn't work. So we've got to have in mind that just accepting the risk doesn't mean that we're going to resent getting things that aren't going to work, because that's part of the risk. So we're going to read the answer choices looking for something that captures this flaw that we kind of mentally predict of. Accepting the risk doesn't mean that you're going to resent when you get some sort of treatment that didn't work, because that is kind of the risk up front. So starting choice A infers that two phenomena are associated merely from the claim that there are many instances in which both phenomena are present. Well, it doesn't say that at the same time you have a placebo and it's ineffective. And you can't actually. It's either the medicine or it's the placebo. It can't be both. So this is articulating a circumstance that is just not going to happen in the uh, situation that the columnist describes. So we can eliminate A as something that's kind of mutually exclusive. Then choice B uses as evidence the opinions of people who are unlikely to be qualified to make informed judgments about the scientific value of placebos. Well, we're not concerned with the actual scientific value of placebos. I mean, and again, they don't necessarily know that they're getting placebos. So we can eliminate choice B as just, again, being something that's completely going to need additional information to relate definitively to this conclusion. Then choice C uses evidence drawn from a sample that is likely to be unrepresentative. Well, this has nothing to do with representation. It's just I mean, again, we don't even know how many of these consent forms exist. So there's nothing wrong with the sample size. So we can eliminate choice C for that reason. Then choice D takes for granted that most test subjects do not change their attitudes towards the chance of taking ineffective substances once the substances they take turn out to be ineffective. Wow, this is some great LSAT word salad. Let's hold on to choice D because we're at least talking about effectiveness, and that's clearly part of the conclusion. And then choice E draws a conclusion that is essentially about a moral issue by appealing to evidence that is purely factual. Well, I mean, it's not a moral issue. I mean, they're resenting the being given placebos or ineffective medicines. So by process of elimination, we should be able to get to the right answer, choice D, even if we just think that choice D is word salad, which I certainly do believe that it is. But if we break this down, takes for granted that most test subjects do not change their attitudes towards the chance of taking ineffective substances. Well, it says these consent forms are signed prior to participation. So if they change their attitude, they're no longer going to potentially resent anything if you even accept the columnist's initial statements. So choice D absolutely hits on the flaw of like, it doesn't mean that they're automatically going to resent getting the ineffective substances or the placebos. They might just recognize that, hey, that's part of a medical experiment that's always present. So hopefully you should see how choice D is the correct answer for 25, and that if this is the last of the explanations you've watched, hopefully this has helped you understand all of the question types here in Prep Test 157's logical reasoning section a bit better than you had before.